All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. July 25th, we got a full MLB slate on today's Tuesday. We're going to jump into each and every game. I'm going to go through the game, give you my lean or leans on the games, but all my final plays, if you do want to ride with me, if you do want to fade me, those plays will be in the pinned comment. And man, oh man, I'm just turning into a guppy out here, just gupping it up around. We end up going 2-2 again last night. Nice to hit the Twins for plus money there on the money line. Another come from behind win from them. Starting to become a little betting fan of the Twins here. The Rangers and Astros over, that one cashes. The Dodgers and Blue Jays, finishes on the hook. And then Freddie Freeman over 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs. I'm gonna drop a womp womp, even though he finishes just shy. I was so big on Freddie Freeman last night. I even sprinkled a little on his home runs for him to just come up short. I think he had 5 at-bats, 1 hit. So, yeah, he let me down. But a 2-2 night, I'm a guppy as of late. 3 of our last 4 nights have been 2-2. So we're not like losing a lot, but if you're a sports bettor of any degree, you know that if you go 2-2, 1-1, 3-3, the juice will always get you. I think only one of those days we hit a couple plus money plays to actually make like a small profit, but nonetheless, 2-2 ain't what you want to do in this business. It doesn't kill you, but it does not make you too successful here. But we do look to bounce back today. Again, a full slate here, guys. And I do want to ask you guys to smash that subscribe button and smash that like button like it's a meatball coming right down the middle of the plate and you right out of the park. Hit that like button, guys. You guys have been crazy supportive as of late. And speaking of support, I do want to talk about this, guys. Over on the Fade Me store, we have tons of cool products over there. We're doing a 20% off the entire site right now. No minimums, no specific products. Head over there. That link is in the pinned comment. This is like the #1 way you guys can support me, I guess, from a monetary standpoint. Obviously, subscribing, hitting the like button, commenting. That's all the true ways you could support. But guys, if you do want to support me, if you do want to pick up some cool gear, check out the storefront. We just released some new products yesterday, some of the city stuff, like you can see in the graphic here. We have the Dodgers, the Red Sox, the Phillies, the Mets, the Yankees, sort of, plays at their fonts and logo and stuff. Really cool stuff, guys. Great quality merch. I would not be lying to you guys. I put a lot of time and effort into sampling products, different designs, and more on the way. Like, we put a lot of effort into the store as well as the product. So if you do want to support the channel, support what we're doing here, and be one of the OGs, the early ones, check it out, guys. Use the code 20FADE to save 20% over on the store right now. And yeah, guys, would really appreciate it. I'm loving the DMs. I'm getting screenshots of the orders. Really do appreciate that. So if you guys want to keep doing that and keep supporting me, I appreciate it. I appreciate the hell out of it. I'm not gonna lie. All right, game #1 here. We have Detroit taking on the Angels here. Eduardo Rodriguez on the mound for the Tigers here, and on the mound for the Angels is going to be Griffin Canning. Eduardo Rodriguez obviously is the better pitcher here, but he's on, I guess you could say, the worst team. But Rodriguez here, 6-5 with a 2.69 ERA and a .97 WHIP here, averaging 9.47 strikeouts per 9. They're obviously not the biggest strikeout guy, but he'll go off sometimes. I believe like he did last start. Griffin Canning, 6-4 record with a 4.5 ERA and a 1.23 WHIP. I'm going to lean towards the Tigers here. Catching the W yesterday, obviously, as well. They win that one 5-4. I'm going to lean towards Eduardo Rodriguez. I'm going to trust him. I do think that, coming off a win against San Francisco yesterday, a nice clean win, kind of gives them a little bit momentum coming into this full series now. That was just a one-game thing, whereas the Angels kind of had the day off there. So give me the Tigers on the money line, trusting Eduardo. And then in terms of the total here, we're looking at a total of 8.5 runs. The Tigers have not been trending in an over direction. And if I do think that, obviously, Eduardo Rodriguez is going to go out there and kind of deal today to some degree, I guess I have to lean towards the under, but I don't totally love the under in this one, so I'm probably not going to have a chance of making that as a final play. If anything in this game is going to be a final play, it probably ultimately ends up being Detroit here, but I do wish Detroit were underdogs. Minus 120 is kind of a decent price to pay when you're looking at a team like Detroit. But nonetheless, give me Erod and the Tigers. And then in terms of a total, slightly lean towards the under, but nothing that I love there. All right, guys, next up, we got Philly taking on Baltimore, but first, I do want to talk about the ride of the day from yesterday coming in from BPUP. We got a womp it. Will Benson ends with 1 base, and yeah, we're back to the L column with the ride of the days. I did really like this play, much like I liked Freeman, so BPUP says, hey, Will Benson over 1.5 bases and probably taking him to the home run today as well. Doesn't happen. Same thing with me and Freeman. I was so big on Freeman, also sprinkled on the home run, only to catch an L to the forehead there, guys. But if you do want to be the ride of the day, it's simple. All you got to use is hashtag ride of the day in the comments. I'm jumping on board with one person's play in the comments, riding blindly, putting my money where your mouth is, and you guys get a shout out in the next video, win or loss. And to all the people out there being like, well, you're just going to jump on board with someone's plays, you're not going to research it, some advice giver you are. One, I'm not trying to give you advice, I'm trying to give you my picks for the day. And two, the ride of the day is damn fun, so you can take that and shove it. So use hashtag ride of the day in the comments, guys. Give me an absolute lock of a pick, and I'll be jumping on board with one person's pick, and that person gets a shout out in tomorrow's video, win or loss. All right, on to Philadelphia taking on Baltimore. Baltimore gets the win yesterday, 3-2. But what I liked is, I guess not what I liked, but what I saw is a lot of runners being left on base. So my number one lean in this game is going to be taking a peek at the over 9.5. Now, it's a little high. I get that. 9.5, asking for double digits, fine, whatever. It is high if you want to stick away from it, but I do like the over in this one. On the mound for Philadelphia, you have Taijuan Walker, 11-4 record with a 4.11 ERA and a 1.26 whip. But what I like, he's not the biggest strikeout guy. And this Baltimore team, though they may not always hit for power, they can get to you and they can get on base and get hits. They're batting 245, I believe, against righties on the season, averaging just under 7 hits and 5 runs per game against righties, or per 9, I should say. Then on the mound for the Baltimore Orioles here is going to be Kyle Gibson, 9-6 record with a 4.76 ERA. Another guy that is not a huge strikeout guy, only averaging just about 7 Ks per 9, and he has a 1.4 whip. And Philly loves to hit righties here, batting 255 on the year, just under 7 hits as well. So I expect a lot of guys to get on base today, so I'm looking at the over 9.5 as my main lean. In terms of where I come out on a side, I'm just going to say that Walker has been pitching way better, which he has. The Phillies are 4-1 in his last 5 starts here. He's got a 2.4 ERA over those 5, so I'm going to lean towards the Phillies, but I do still think Baltimore is going to be able to get to him, but I think the Phillies going to be able to get to Gibson a little bit more than Baltimore gets to Walker. So give me the over as my main lean in this game, but I'm also going to side with the home team, the Phillies here, as you know, they catch a tough L yesterday. I expect them to bounce back at home today. All right, Tampa Bay taking on Miami here. This Tampa Bay team obviously still kind of in the crapper. They have lost 7 of their last 10 games. They lost 3 of the 4 against Baltimore, which is just crazy how good this team was, getting to a point where they're just not catching wins. They even had Shane McClanahan pitch in that series against Baltimore, and they still lose that game. On the mound for them today is going to be Glass now. He's got a 3-3 record with a 3.62 ERA and a 1.19 whip. In his last 5 starts, that ERA has been down as well, 1.6 ERA through his last 5, and he's striking out a lot of guys too. So I do lean Tampa Bay ever so slightly here, but you can't really lean them as bad as they've been playing at the odds they're at right now. They're at -190, -200. The only reason they're that, terrible of odds is because Miami has been just as bad. Miami catches the win against Colorado in the series finale there, but that was their first win in 9 games. So this Miami team isn't playing well either, which is also, I think you can capitalize on the fact that we have a total set at 7.5 right now. Okay, 7.5 right now. But what I do like is the fact that, you know what? Take the chance on the over. This is a Miami team and a Tampa Bay team that are like, we suck. We got to go out there and score runs. Now, could they be of the mindset of, oh, well, we're just going to go out there and, dump and mope around again? Sure, maybe. Who knows? But these are 2 offenses, and more so Tampa Bay is in the point that I'm making, that have what it takes and have that talent to score a decent amount of runs. We've seen flashes from Miami, obviously this season, but I'm kind of banking on Tampa Bay to be able to go out there and carry this over. They're going up against Eddie Cabrera, 5-5 record, 4.5 ERA with a 1.4 whip. Get guys on base, score runs. So, again, I lean towards Tampa Bay. The odds are way too high to be paying, and I don't know if I could trust them on the run line. My main lean here in this game is going to be the over 7.5. Definitely a strong chance of being a final play here because, again, you have 2 teams that if their backs aren't up against the wall, then that's absolutely crazy, right? And even still, on the season, the totals for these teams on average, Tampa Bay 9.09, and then Miami 8.42. Those are 0.9 to 1.5 over what the total is today. Give me some runs in today's ball game. We need it for these 2 teams because they've been stinking. So give me the over 7.5 here. All right, next up we have Washington taking on Colorado, and I'll tell you guys right off the bat, I don't think anything in this game becomes a final play, but we'll go through it. I don't really love much to see in this one. Yesterday, Colorado gets the 10-6 win. On the mound today is going to be Trevor Williams for Washington. He has a 5-5 record with a 4.38 ERA and a 1.44 WHIP. Colorado is trotting out Austin Gomber, who's got an 8-8 record, a 6.18 ERA, and a 1.5 WHIP. The only thing that I could consider in this game is taking a peek at the over 9.5. We saw it hit yesterday. You have two bad pitchers on the mound again today, but I don't know if I totally trust the offenses here altogether, so I'm probably going to be fading this game altogether. Fading this game, guys. Go check out the merch again. What a plug, what a transition. Probably was way not as smooth as I thought, but nonetheless, guys, I don't really love this game. Don't love this series altogether, so apologies there, but I do like to keep it honest with you guys. I'm not going to fake confidence for content, so I lean towards the over, but that's just because the pitchers are crappy here. All right, next up, we got the Yankees taking on the Mets, and this one's going to be a little weird to talk about or a breakdown, because I'll tell you right off the bat, I'm more or less betting on the situation here than all of the analytics and what we'll see. So I'm going to get into both. The situation is you have the Yankees and the Mets, obviously the New York rivalry, Subway Series, that type of thing. I'm going to take the home team for plus money here because there's value there. Yankees right now, plus 110 at home over on FanDuel is going to be my lean because, again, I don't think that, when you have series that have these sort of emotional ties and whatnot, you can kind of read into the narrative and sort of a conspiracy, if you will, sort of side of things. So I'm not saying that's the best way to look at sports games and all that, but the narrative games and that type of thing do matter to some degree, and I do like the Subway Series vibe. And coming home, here the Yankees are at home, kind of fielding the Mets coming to them and saying, all right, you know what, let's go do this, let's get hyped. All of a sudden, all the sort of trends and whatnot are out the window. So, though it might not make much sense, I'm going to lean towards the Yankees plus money here at home. And why it might not make much sense is because Verlander's going for the Mets. And if you look at this Yankees team, now first off, going up against right-handed pitchers, not hitting righties well on the season. 229 average here, only averaging 4 runs per 9 here and a 297 on base percentage. So very, very bad, right? And Verlander, in particular here, has been pitching well, kind of getting back to what he was, 1.2 ERA. They've won 3 of his last 5 starts here as a unit and as a team. And what I also will say is that there's really no one on this Yankees roster that seems to hit Verlander well, dating back to obviously when he's been on other teams and that type of thing. But really only DJ LeMahieu has some experience against him in which he fared well, and that's one guy out of the 9 you're looking at, or 9+ you're looking at. So I wanted to give you guys sort of the information and the analytics behind it. If you're on the Mets side of things, I wouldn't make me saying, I like the Yankees stay, deter you whatsoever. But I do think that, sometimes you got to read into the narrative games. I think this could be a Yankee spot. So I'm taking the Yankees, especially for plus money. But yeah, all signs point to Verlander dealing against this Yankees team and all that. But to some degree, I think when these two teams play each other, a lot goes out the window. Just like when you have a Red Sox-Yankees series, it's like, are you really going to look at the true sort of nitty-gritty? Oh, the Yankees are way better. We saw the Red Sox kill the Yankees, sweep them earlier in the year when the Yankees were much better at the time than the Sox. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Probably sound like a crazy person, but nonetheless, give me the Yankees for the value at home on the money line. And then in terms of the total 8.5, I have to look at the under because that's where I got to put the blinders on and be like, Verlander could deal against this Yankees team. And Domingo Germán, who obviously has had some good games, including a perfect game a few starts back, has been pitching well as well. So I'm leaning towards the under as well as the Yanks. I'm not going to lie, that made my brain hurt. So if you're watching this and you're like, oh my God, my eyes, my ears, my shoulders, knees, and toes hurt. My bad, guys. My bad. But let's move on. We got Cleveland taking on Kansas City. Honestly, you can go through this one really quick. Might be crazy, but I'm looking at Cleveland on the run line. And when I say it might be crazy, they're -1.5 as favorites here. They only covered that in 2 of their last 10 games. They've missed it in their last 5, but they do have Savale on the mound today, who I think is going to go out there and deal against the Royals. The Royals do not bat righties very well. They don't bat anyone very well, but for what it's worth, 3 runs per 9, 226 average with an under, I think it was just about 5 hits per 9 there. And Savale keeping the ERA down as of late. He's only allowed I believe 5 runs in his last 4 starts here, so he has been looking good. And you know, he pitched against Texas a couple starts back and had a really good outing, so hopefully he is a little hot here. He can keep this Kansas City team down, and we can get some plus money on Cleveland to win this one by more than 1 run here, because yesterday they have to be fired up coming off of an L to Kansas City. They had the way better pitcher. They were minus 207 closing favorites and lose 5-3. So there's got to be a fire under their ass. They cannot lose 2 straight here to Kansas City. It would be their 3rd loss in a row. Bounce back spot for Cleveland. Mark my words there. Savali is going to deal today too. In terms of the total 8.5, I kind of went back and forth in this one because we saw a game of 5-3 yesterday, and that would hit the under. And I wouldn't be surprised if that sort of is the run allotment today. So though I think that, you know, Cleveland's gonna get to Kansas City, and you know, Greinke on the mound today as they actually bat righties well, you know, 260 on the year, averaging almost 7 hits per game. But I just can't get myself to pull the trigger on an over here, because we just, from what we saw yesterday, seemed like a lot of runs, and it still hit the under. So if this kind of switches gears and Cleveland wins this one, I think it's gonna be a 5-3 or a 4-3 type win for them. But I hope it is that 5-3 to cover the run line. So I'm gonna lean towards the under. Main play in this game though is certainly Cleveland minus 1.5. I like them on the run line today for plus money. All right, Red Sox taking on the Braves. I think it's going to be a good series. We don't know who is on the mound for the Red Sox yet, so we do not have any odds, not even an opening line or anything like that. So we don't have odds for the money line, run line, or total. So keep an eye on the pinned comment to see if we have any final plays coming up. But I think it's going to be a good series. This is an Atlanta team that is not really playing as well as they had been, you know, just, I would say, prior to the All-Star break, right? 4-6 in their last 10 games here. Red Sox 7-3. I think it's going to be a good series. Keep an eye on the pinned comment to see if we roll with anything final in this game once we have money line odds, run lines, or we have the total as well. All right, guys, before we get to the back half of the slate, I did want to talk to you guys about Daily Grind Fantasy. This tool has made me helped me make so much money on Prize Picks. You guys have seen the TikToks, the Instagram Reels. It really is an amazing, amazing tool. If you want to check it out, go ahead and use the link in the description or the pinned comment. And what it does here is goes through and looks at all of the Prize Picks plays on the board. You can obviously pick your sport or any of the other DFS apps that you do like. You could pick your sport, DFS app you like, and then look at the lines that they're offering. Right now, we'll use Prize Picks as an example. You can see they're offering all of these plays on Prize Picks. You can get the sportsbook line as well, so you can compare and contrast there. But what I really do like is all of these sportsbooks odds. You can go in here saying, okay, Trevor Williams, right? Well, they're juicing it on sportsbooks. Average sportsbooks odds minus 140. Kyle Gibson, average sportsbooks odds minus 136. And you can go ahead and throw those into a Prize Pick slip, because as you should know, Prize Picks does not follow any odd structure or payout, anything like that. Every single payout and pick is equal. So you could put 2 heavily juiced plays together, and it's the same in a 2-person slip, parlay, if you will, as having 2 underdog plays together, right? So why wouldn't you put favored plays? Because sportsbooks obviously know what they're doing. They set the lines accordingly. A more juiced play means it's more likely to hit. Go ahead and check out this tool. Super easy to identify value over there. I've been using DGF for coming up on like a year now, and I have been absolutely loving it. They have all the sports as well. We're looking at MLB today, but they have NBA, NFL, NHL. They got a bunch of stuff. They got esports. They got UFC, golf. I mean, this is a really, really good tool. You can get a 7-day free trial with the link in the description or in the pinned comment. Go check it out, guys. Let's get to the back half of this slate. All right, Minnesota taking on Seattle. Minnesota gets the win for us yesterday, and I love that we got on it early at plus 104, because I think they closed at minus 105 or something like that. So just a little bit of value always helps there. They win 4-3 yesterday. On the mound for Minnesota today is going to be Pablo Lopez. He's got a 5-6 record with a 4.22 ERA and a 1.4 WHIP. But I want to more or less call out here is the fact that he's been pitching way better as of late. 2.6 ERA in his last 5 here, going up against George Kirby, who we know is a stud. 9-8 record with a 3.23 ERA and a 1.04 WHIP here, and he's also been pitching even better than normal as of late. 2.2 ERA. So first and foremost, lean on this game is going to take a peek at the under 8. Yesterday's total was 8 as well. They cashed that. It was a 4-3 final. I could see it being a very similar game. It's keeping it consistent throughout the series. So give me the under 8 as my main lean in this one. And then in terms of a side here, I think I have to trust Minnesota to keep it up. up here. They've won 8 of their last 10 games, and they've played a plethora of different competition, but while in that 10-game stretch, they've played Seattle now 5 times, and they've won 3 of the 5, so give me them. I think it's going to be a very good series, like I said last time. You have Ryan going up against Miller, I think, in tomorrow's matchup, so again, another good game, but give me Minnesota yet again, and I like the under more than anything in this game as well, but yeah, I think it's going to be a good series. I love this baseball. So far, we cashed yesterday. Let's keep cashing this series again. All right, Milwaukee taking on Cincinnati, another series in which I feel like we just have our finger on the pulse. Now that I say that, I'm probably going to jinx the hell out of myself, but you do have a team playing another team that they've seen so many times already this season, and all of the games are low scoring, and Milwaukee's been edging them out, right? So I think that's going to be a similar thing today. You have Burns on the mound for Milwaukee here, and both of these pitchers, actually, I would say, have been absolutely phenomenal as of late. So Burns going up against Andrew Abbott. Burns on the season here's got a 5-2 record, a 2.1 ERA and a 0.92 whip, which is like, oh my God, that's crazy, right? He's got a 1.6 ERA in his last 5 starts. Hasn't let up a run in 2 starts here. And he went up against Cincinnati, who, yes, like I just said, these two teams don't score a lot of runs against each other, but still a good offense, right? And Philadelphia, that was, what, a week ago or so. So 2 teams that can score runs. They're 5-0 in his last 5 when he starts, in his last 5 starts here. But Andrew Abbott on the other side has got a 2 flat ERA in his last 5, which is very similar to what he has on the season here. But nonetheless, guys, I'm going to lean towards the same sort of vibe check that we've had from these teams all year long, with the exclusion of a couple. I'm going to lean towards Milwaukee on the money line and the under here. Under is probably going to be my main lean because at some point the Reds have to beat Milwaukee. So if you are on the Red side of things, go ahead, take the chance at plus 135 over on DK. Not a bad bet at all, but I do like the under here. I don't think these two teams seem to score a lot of runs against each other, and you have 2 pitchers that are pitching better than they have all season, going up against teams that they pitch really, really well against. So give me the under in this one, under 8. All right, next up, we got Houston taking on Texas. We knew a lot of runs would be scored in this one yesterday, and the Houston Astros edged it out 10-9 here. Now, we don't have money line odds. We also don't have a total here because Texas hasn't named their starter yet. And it's a little weird because Gray went yesterday, and usually in the rotation, who pitches after Gray? Haney or Heaney, whatever you want to say. But he is slated to pitch tomorrow, so I don't know who we're going to get exactly today. But nonetheless, if it's not, a stud or, say they throw a Valdi out there or something like that, right? Something crazy. I do still lean towards the over. These are 2 teams that, especially if Houston is going to get going, which they kind of look like they were, and they cooled off in that Oakland series, and then all of a sudden they scored 10 yesterday. These are 2 teams, when the offenses are clicking, I don't think it really matters who is on the mound, okay? So I'm going to look at the over in this one. Yesterday was an 8.5 total, blew that one out of the water. Even if this jumps up to 9, I would like it. 9.5, I'd start to think about it, obviously pitcher dependent, but regardless, I do think that, speaking of pitcher dependent, I do think these guys can score a minimum of 5 runs each at any given moment. So give me the over in this game, but keep an eye on the pinned comment to see what we end up rolling with, as it's too early. We don't have odds right now, and Texas has not named a starter. All right, you got the Battle of the Chicagos here. We got the White Sox taking on the Cubs. In this one right now, the White Sox looking at a underdog spot here at home, as they are minus 105 right now at home. The Cubs slight favorites, minus 110. Nothing really the crazy there. Obviously, on the mound for the White Sox is going to be Michael Kopech. Michael Kopech is a guy that obviously has been pitching well, but the White Sox are not scoring runs for him. So I don't know what's going on there. They're 1-4 in his last 5 starts. He's kept his ERA low too, but he isn't going deep into games. Maybe 4-5 innings at the max. And on the mound for the Cubs is going to be Kyle Hendricks here, who I would say he's been pitching well, but very inconsistent as of late. So only lean really in this one is going to be taking a peek at that over 9. These are 2 pitchers that if you can get to, you can hit hard. Can you get to them? We shall see, right? But nonetheless, over 9 is going to be my main lean in this one. And then I guess I look at the Cubs, but you could tell it's not like I'm crazily, infatuated by that pick. They look like they may be turning a corner here. They swept St. Louis, or not swept, back half swept. They won 3 of the 4, but won the last 3, so feels like a sweep to them. And the White Sox coming off of getting swept by Minnesota. So give me the Cubs here for minus 110. I do think that is where my lean on the side is going to be. But again, the over, I think that these pitchers can both be hit around, especially if you start to hit them hard. You're going to hit them hard for 4 or 5 innings. So if you're going to ride them hard. But nonetheless, I like the over as my main lean in this game. All right, Arizona taking on St. Louis here. You have Kelly on the mound for Arizona. And going up on the mound here for the Cardinals is going to be Steven Matz. He's got a 1-7 record, a 4.8 ERA, and a 1.5 whip. Kelly's got a 9-4 record, a 3.2 ERA, and a 1.14 whip. Let's trust the better pitcher here in this one. Cardinals, I'm not going to say that they bat lefties very well, batting 250 on the season, but it's serviceable. The Diamondbacks batting 250 against lefties on the season, serviceable enough for me to pull the trigger there, at least in terms of lean. Keep an eye on the pin comment if we end up rolling with it. And then in terms of the total here, both these teams have hit the over 9-run mark in 6 of their last 10 games, and I don't think either of these pitchers are phenomenal, so give me the over 9 in this one as well. I don't know if that becomes a final play. Much more likely to be able to pull the trigger on the Cardinals here, the Diamondbacks here at home in this spot, in a bounce back spot as well. Minus 135, a little bit of juice to be paying for a team that got a tough L yesterday, losing that one 10-6, but nonetheless, doesn't bother me. I lean the Cardinals money line as well as the total over here in this one. All right, next up, you got the Pirates taking on the Padres. I almost said the Cardinals, like mixing the Padres, Pirates, and the Cardinals. Three-way team game today, but I know Padres taking on Pittsburgh here. Pirates win yesterday 8-4 in that one, and I will say, Quinn Priester, kind of like the kid, so shout out to him for his pitching yesterday. He pitched 5 1/3, nothing crazy, hit the over in one of our prize pick slips, so that's good, but for his strikeout line. But nonetheless, I do lean Padres in this game, but they're super heavy favorites, so maybe in some sort of parlay play or something like that if you guys are considering. Then in terms of the total, I don't mind the over here, but I don't think the only thing that's going to keep that from being a final play is the fact that Blake Snell is on the mound for the Padres. He has been dealing. Now you look at their record as of late, they've lost 2 straight games when he starts, right? Their team has a 2-3 record in his last starts, but he's got a sub-1 ERA, a 0.6 ERA in his last 5 games here, allowing just 3 runs through those 5 games. He has been pitching really, really well, way better than he even has on the season. He didn't start the season all that well, so that's going to be the thing that probably keeps or prevents this total of the over 8 from being a final play. But nonetheless, I wanted to give you guys that context that yes, I do think that we could see a game like yesterday, 10-6, a lot of scoring, or 8-4, a lot of scoring and that type of thing. But in terms of what's keeping that from being a final play, it's got to be Blake Snell. The guy has been dealing, which is why the Padres are so heavily favored in this game, I'd have to imagine. All right, let's see if anyone is still watching now at the 26-minute mark, guys. Comment 26 if you guys are watching. The math got crazy there. Usually I don't go over 25 just because my dumb brain can't take it. But if you guys are still watching, go ahead and comment 26 on the video in the comments, guys. Let me know who the real ones are and who we can weed out as the guppies. Comment 26 if you're still watching. We're looking at San Francisco taking on the A's. We're still awaiting odds as we don't necessarily know who's pitching for San Francisco, but nonetheless, this is probably going to be one where we pass up on anyways. Don't really love this spot, and honestly, I don't know if I necessarily care all that much what the odds are because it's going to be San Francisco is going to be favored. Then they're going to throw a mediocre total out there like 8, 8.5, right? Which is always going to be kind of in the middle there. So nonetheless, guys, I wouldn't expect anything to be a final play in this game anyways, but wanted to at least tell you guys that I'm not just skipping over it. I just don't really have much to say on it. All right, Dodgers taking on the Blue Jays. The Dodgers and Blue Jays come up just a run shy of our total hitting yesterday. We lose on the hook. Today, that total has dropped down to 9, and I'm looking at that over 9 again. On the mound for the Dodgers is going to be Urias. He's got a 5.02 ERA, 1.17 whip. In his last 5, also keeping that ERA slightly elevated at 4.2. Going up against Chris Bassett, who on the year has a high ERA and a decently high whip, but he's been pitching well as of late, so hopefully, this Dodgers team really can embody the idea of it doesn't really matter who's pitching, we're still going to hit a bunch of runs or score a bunch of runs against them, right? So hopefully they bounce back from that. These two teams have the talent to score runs. We saw it on the Toronto side last night, and it's like the Dodgers took the night off. So hopefully they're back because I do really like the over 9 in this one. I think that it is just the the most logical play in this game. Dodgers minus 145 could also be my secondary lean, but a lot of juice to be paying for a team that I think is going in with the worst pitcher, at least trending wise as of late. Also, you're looking at a team in which losing yesterday, that can't help. So yeah, nonetheless, I do lean Dodgers slightly, but my main lean yet again in this series is going to be the over 9 runs. And that is all I have for you guys in today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, make sure you're commenting what you're rolling with tonight, and use that hashtag ride of the day if you do want to be entered into the ride of the day. And yeah, let's keep going, guys. We got to bounce back from a 2-2 night. Like, we can't keep having these 2-2 nights. Like I said, they're not going to kill us. But they ain't fun. They ain't fun. All right, so let's bounce back tonight, guys. We'll catch you guys in tomorrow's video, all right? Peace out.